What if the mistake that was supposed to ruin you became the one thing that saved everything? The Royal Meridian Hotel stands like a glass cathedral in the heart of Lagos, all polished marble and whispered wealth. Inside, 100 invisible hands keep the dream alive. One of those hands belongs to a girl who's been awake for 19 hours straight. She pushes a chrome cleaning cart down the 8th floor corridor, her uniform stiff with yesterday's sweat. The wheels squeak. Her shoulders ache. She's 24, but her back feels 50. In her pocket, folded small enough to hide, is a hospital slip with her sister's name on it. The medicine costs more than she makes in 2 weeks. She's been doing the math in her head all morning. The numbers don't add up. They never do. Across the lobby, 3 floors up, a man steps out of a black Mercedes that costs more than most people earn in a lifetime. His suit is Italian. His jaw is set. His phone hasn't stopped ringing since the plane landed 2 hours late. Documents he needed for a merger meeting are somewhere over the Atlantic. His assistant is apologizing in his ear. He doesn't want apologies. He wants precision. He wants the world to work the way he designed it. His name carries weight in rooms where decisions reshape economies. He built an empire from code and cold discipline. People say he's brilliant. People say he's ruthless. Both are true. What they don't say is that he hasn't laughed in 3 years, not since the woman he trusted most walked out with half his prototype and all his faith in intimacy. The girl rounds the corner too fast. The cart tips. A bucket of dirty mop water tips with it. Time slows in the way it does right before everything changes. The water arcs through the air, catching the chandelier light, and lands across the front of his white shirt like a baptism he didn't ask for. The hallway goes silent. Staff freeze mid-step. The girl's hands fly to her mouth. His eyes find hers. They're cold in a way that makes her knees weak. She starts apologizing, the words tumbling over themselves, her voice barely above a whisper. She's shaking. She knows what this means. She knows how fast you can lose everything in a building like this. He doesn't shout. That's somehow worse. He looks at her the way you'd look at a stain on something expensive, something that can't be fixed. His voice, when it comes, is quiet and cuts like wire. Do they not train people here? Or do they just let anyone push a cart through a 5-star hotel? A manager appears from nowhere, already bowing, already promising consequences. The girl wants to disappear into the marble. She apologizes again. He's already walking away, his shoes clicking sharp against the floor. But for just a second, so brief she almost misses it, something flickers across his face, something that looks almost like regret. She doesn't see it. She's too busy trying not to cry in front of the other staff who are already whispering. That night, her supervisor hands her a keycard. Suite 1107. Guest stepped out for dinner. Quick turn-down service, in and out. Don't linger. She takes the key. She doesn't ask questions. She needs this job too badly to ask questions. The suite is another world. Floor-to-ceiling windows framing the Lagos skyline like a painting. Furniture that probably costs more than her childhood home. The air smells like expensive cologne and leather. She moves through it like a ghost, straightening what's already straight, fluffing pillows that don't need fluffing. Her feet are screaming. Her eyes are burning. She sits on the edge of the bed, just for a second, just to take the weight off. The mattress is soft in a way that feels like mercy. She closes her eyes, just for a minute. She doesn't mean to fall asleep, but exhaustion doesn't ask permission. The door opens at 10:47 p.m. He's loosening his tie, already thinking about the emails he needs to send before midnight. The dinner was tense. The investors are skittish. Everything in his life is a negotiation. He's tired of negotiating. He flips the light switch and freezes. There's someone in his bed, a woman, curled on her side, still in a hotel uniform, one hand clutching a folded towel like a child holds a blanket. Her breathing is deep and even. She's absolutely, impossibly asleep. For 5 full seconds, he just stares. Then the anger comes, hot and familiar. This is a violation. This is unacceptable. He moves toward the bed, ready to call security, ready to have someone fired and possibly arrested. But when he's close enough to see her face, something stops him. She looks exhausted, not tired, exhausted. The kind of exhaustion that lives in your bones. There are shadows under her eyes. Her hands are raw, the nails trimmed short and practical. She's thin in the way people get when they're choosing between food and something else. He recognizes her. The girl from the hallway, the one he humiliated. He reaches out, shakes her shoulder, not gently. She jolts awake with a gasp, eyes wide and terrified. For a moment, she doesn't know where she is. Then she sees him standing over her, and the terror becomes absolute. She scrambles off the bed, apologizing, the words coming so fast they blend together. She's backing towards the door, tears already starting. She's saying she didn't mean to. She was so tired, she just sat down for a second. Please don't call security. Please. She has a sister. She needs this job. Please. He should call security. Every protocol says, call security. Every instinct he's honed over a decade of protecting himself says, remove the threat. Protect the boundary. Don't let anyone get close enough to hurt you. But something about the way she's shaking stops him. Get out, he says. His voice is low, controlled. Not kind, but not cruel either. She runs. He stands there in the empty suite for a long time after she's gone. He should feel violated. He should feel angry. What he feels is something he can't quite name. Something that might be loneliness recognizing itself in someone else. Have you ever been so tired you couldn't think straight? Comment every day if you know that feeling. He doesn't sleep that night. Neither does she. When morning comes, she's already written 3 different resignation letters in her head. She's walking toward the staff entrance, expecting to be escorted out by security. Instead, the front desk supervisor intercepts her, looking confused. Suite 1107 requested you for breakfast service. Her heart stops. What? Mr. Adeola, he asked for you specifically. This is it. She thinks. He's going to humiliate her one more time before having her fired. Make an example. She's shaking when she knocks on his door. He answers in a white shirt and dark slacks, barefoot, reading glasses perched on his nose. He looks younger without the armor of a full suit, almost human. Come in, he says. She does, barely breathing. There's a breakfast cart by the window. 2 place settings. Sit, he says. She doesn't move. Sir, sit. She sits. He pours tea. Earl Grey, she notices. The good kind. You didn't get fired, he says after a long silence. I told them it was a misunderstanding. She stares at him. Why? He doesn't answer right away. He's looking out the window at the city waking up below them. When he speaks, his voice is quieter than she's ever heard it. Because you look like I feel. And I'm tired of being the person who makes things worse. It's the first genuinely kind thing anyone in this building has said to her in 6 months. She doesn't know what to do with it. So she says the only thing she can think of. Thank you. He nods. They drink their tea in silence. She leaves 10 minutes later with an envelope he pressed into her hand on the way out. She doesn't open it until she's back in the staff corridor. Inside is 100,000 naira. She stares at it like it might disappear if she blinks. This is more money than she's ever held at once. This is her sister's medication for 3 months. This is breathing room she hasn't had since their mother died. Her first instinct is to give it back. Her pride says you're not charity, but her pride isn't coughing up blood at night. Her pride doesn't need pills that cost a fortune. She keeps half, hides the rest, uses it for her sister's medicine, and pays 2 months ahead on the room they share near Ajagunle. For the first time in months, she sleeps without having to do the math. The next morning, he requests her for tea again. And the morning after that. They don't talk much, but they're not strangers anymore either. He starts noticing things. The way she never wastes anything. How she folds napkins with the same care most people reserve for important documents. The small, quiet dignity she carries like a shield. She starts noticing things too. How he reads 3 newspapers before breakfast. How he's kind to the doorman, but cold to the executives who come begging for meetings. How sometimes, when he thinks no one is looking, he looks unbearably sad. A week passes. Then, too, the tea becomes routine. The silence becomes comfortable. One evening, he's waiting in the lobby when her shift ends. She walks out in jeans and a faded t-shirt, her hair loose for once. She sees him and stops. "I'll drive you home," he says. It's not a question, but it's not a command either. She should say no. She should maintain the distance. But she's tired, and he's offering. And maybe she's tired of always saying no to kindness. "You don't have to." "I know." The drive takes 40 minutes. She directs him through streets that get narrower and rougher the farther they go from the glass towers. He doesn't comment, doesn't judge, just drives. When they pull up outside the compound where she lives, concrete walls patched with rust, laundry hanging between buildings, kids playing football in the dirt, she expects him to look uncomfortable. Rich people always do. But he just parks, turns off the engine, and looks at her. "Can I meet her? Your sister?" The question surprises her so much she laughs. "Why?" "Because she's the reason you fell asleep in my bed. I'd like to meet the person worth that much love." Something in her chest cracks open. The room they share is small, clean, filled with secondhand furniture and a bookshelf made from stacked crates. Her sister is on the bed, reading by lamplight. When they walk in, the little girl looks up and grins. "Ruth, you're home early." Then she sees him and her eyes go wide. "Who's that?" "That's my boss." "From the hotel?" The girl studies him with the fearless curiosity of children. "Are you nice to my sister?" He crouches down to her level, something he hasn't done in years. "I'm trying to be." "Good," she says seriously. "She works too hard." He laughs. Actually laughs. It's rusty, like a door that hasn't opened in years, but it's real. They stay for an hour. He sits on the floor, listens to the little girl talk about her school project, watches Ruth make dinner from almost nothing and somehow make it enough, sees the way she kisses her sister's forehead, checks her temperature without making it obvious, counts out pills like they're precious stones. When he leaves, he doesn't say much. Just, "Thank you for letting me see this." 2 days later, she finds a small box tucked between cleaning supplies in her cart. Inside is a silver locket, simple and elegant. No note, no name, but she knows. She wears it under her uniform where no one can see. Where it rests against her heart like a secret. If this is giving you feelings you weren't ready for, hit subscribe, because it's about to get complicated. 3 weeks after the locket, his mother arrives unannounced. She's elegant in the way that costs money to achieve and maintains through sheer force of will. Designer everything, posture like a blade, eyes that catalog and calculate. She's here because her sources told her something is off with her son. He's distracted. He's been seen driving through questionable neighborhoods. There are rumors of a woman. She needs to know who's threatening everything she's built. That afternoon, She finds 2 teacups in his suite, both used, one with lipstick that definitely isn't expensive. She smiles. Now she has a target. The note is delivered during the lunch shift. Cream cardstock, impeccable handwriting, tea at 3 p.m. Suite 1204, Mrs. O. Adeola. When she arrives, the door is open. The suite is immaculate. His mother is sitting by the window, like a queen holding court. Sit, dear. The dear is a weapon disguised as warmth. She sits, spine straight, hands folded. You're Ruth, yes? The girl who's been bringing my son tea every morning? Yes, ma'am. How sweet. The smile doesn't reach her eyes. Let me be direct. You're a maid. My son is worth 3 billion naira. You understand the mathematics, yes? I'm not. You're not what? Calculating? Ambitious? Please, everyone is. The question is what you're ambitious for. She slides an envelope across the table. It's thick, obscenely thick. 500,000 naira. Take it. Resign tomorrow. Move your sister to a better area. Get a fresh start somewhere my son will never find you, because if you don't, no. The mother's smile freezes. Excuse me? No, thank you. Her voice is steady even though her hands are shaking. I came to the Royal Meridian to clean rooms, ma'am, not to sell dreams, and not to buy silence. She stands. The envelope stays on the table. If your son and I are meant to stay in each other's lives, that's between us. Not you, not money, us. She walks out before the tears can start. Behind her, she hears something that might be laughter or might be rage. She doesn't turn around to check. That night, she doesn't go back to the hotel. She packs 2 bags, one for her, one for her sister. Calls her cousin in Ibadan. Leaves before sunrise. When he comes down for breakfast, she's not there. He waits. Calls the front desk. They tell him she resigned. No notice. Just gone. He finds his mother in the lobby drinking coffee like she didn't just destroy something fragile. What did you do? Protected you, she says calmly. You'll thank me later. He doesn't thank her. He walks out and doesn't speak to her for 6 months. He searches everywhere. Hospitals, bus stations, the compound where she lived, empty now. Neighbors saying they left overnight. He hires people, pulls favors, checks records. Nothing. She's vanished like she was never real. Like the whole thing was a dream he had while half asleep. Months pass. His company grows. He makes more money, closes bigger deals, feels nothing. He keeps the locket she left behind in his desk drawer. Sometimes, late at night, he takes it out and wonders if he imagined the whole thing. What would you do? Chase someone who ran or let them go? Tell us in the comments. 7 months later, he's in Abadan for a tech conference. His driver takes a wrong turn, ends up near a school. There's a poster on the gate. Free evening literacy classes for girls. Teacher, Miss Ruth Ekanem. His heart stops. He finds her under a mango tree, surrounded by 20 girls aged 7 to 16, teaching them to read. She's in a simple dress, her hair pulled back, chalk on her fingers. She looks radiant. She looks free. One of the girls sees him first, whispers. The others turn. Then she turns. The world stops for the 2nd time since they met. After class, she sends the girls home and walks toward him slowly, like she's approaching something that might spook if she moves too fast. You found me. I never stopped looking. They sit under the tree as the sun goes down. She tells him everything. The money he gave her, she saved most of it, used it to start this. Teaches literacy 3 days a week, lives simply, keeps her sister safe. I left because I wasn't going to be your secret, she says quietly. I wasn't going to be the thing you kept in the margins while living your real life in the light. I left because I love myself enough to walk away from people who don't see me. And if I see you, his voice cracks, if I've seen nothing but you for 7 months, She looks at him, really looks, sees the exhaustion, the loneliness, the man who built walls so high he forgot how to climb down. Then we write a different story, she says. Not one where you save me or I fix you, one where we choose each other. On purpose. He reaches for her hand. She lets him. They don't kiss, not yet. They just sit there as the sun bleeds orange across the sky and the mango leaves whisper overhead. We all think we'd know love if it showed up. But what if it shows up in uniform? What if it arrives exhausted and underpaid and asking for nothing but dignity? Would we recognize it then? The next 2 weeks move like a fever dream. He visits Ibadan 3 more times, sits in on her classes, watches her teach a girl who couldn't spell her own name last month write a full sentence, sees the way she celebrates small victories like they're Olympic gold. They talk about everything. His childhood in a house full of expectations but empty of warmth. Her mother, who died when she was 19, leaving her with a sister and nothing else. The businesses he built to prove he was enough. The dreams she shelved because survival came first. One evening, sitting outside the school as the girls pack up, she turns to him. If I come back with you, I need you to understand something. I'm not coming back to be hidden. I'm not coming back to be the story you tell yourself at night, but never in daylight. If we do this, we do it honestly, or we don't do it at all. He doesn't hesitate. Honestly, in daylight, I promise. She believes him, not because he's never broken a promise, but because she can see the cost of lying in his eyes. He's done hiding from the things that matter. He brings her back to Lagos 2 weeks later, not to clean, not to serve. As his partner in launching an education fund for girls from underserved communities. The charity gala is held at the Royal Meridian Hotel. The irony isn't lost on anyone. The night of the event, she stands in the suite that used to terrify her. The same suite where she once fell asleep from exhaustion, and looks at herself in the mirror. Simple blue dress, her mother's earrings, the silver locket at her throat. Her sister beside her, grinning in a yellow dress they picked out together. You look like a queen, the little girl whispers. I look like me, she corrects gently. Just me. That's enough. Staff who used to ignore her now stare as she walks through the lobby, his hand in hers. Some faces show surprise. Some show respect. A few show something that might be shame. She meets every gaze with quiet grace. The ballroom is packed with Lagos elite, old money and new power. Women dripping in jewelry that cost more than houses. Men whose handshakes move markets. She feels every eye on her as they enter. His mother is there, seated near the front, her face carefully neutral. They haven't spoken since that morning. When their eyes meet across the room, something passes between them. Not forgiveness, not yet, but maybe the beginning of understanding. During the speech, he doesn't hide her, doesn't apologize, doesn't soften it for the people who find it uncomfortable. She taught me that kindness isn't weakness, he says to a room full of billionaires and power brokers. That love doesn't need permission from gatekeepers or consultants or anyone else who thinks they know better. And that sometimes the person who changes your entire life isn't in your boardroom or your portfolio meetings. She's the one you almost had fired for falling asleep. He pauses, looks directly at her. Ruth Ekanem didn't ask me for anything. Not money, not status, not access. She asked me to be better. And when I wasn't ready to be better, she walked away. That's not opportunism. That's dignity. And if you can't see the difference, you're not paying attention. The room erupts. Half are crying. The other half are clapping so hard, it sounds like thunder. Then he does something she doesn't expect. He reaches out his hand to her. "Come up here." She freezes. This wasn't the plan. But he's waiting, patient, his hand extended. So she walks to the stage, her sister's hand in hers, pulling the little girl along because they're a package deal. They always have been. She takes the microphone. Her hand is shaking, but her voice is clear. "I didn't prepare a speech," she says, "but I want to say this. 7 months ago, I was tired. I was scared. I was working 3 shifts because that's what it took to keep my sister alive. And I made a mistake. I fell asleep somewhere I wasn't supposed to be." She looks out at the crowd. Some are leaning forward. All are listening. "That mistake could have ended me, could have gotten me fired, arrested, erased. But instead, it taught me something. It taught me that sometimes grace shows up in expensive suits, that sometimes the people who seem the hardest are just the most afraid, and that you can't build anything real, not love, not partnership, not change, on anything less than the truth of who you are." Her voice gets stronger. "So this fund? It's not charity. It's investment in girls who are tired, who are scared, who are working 3 times as hard for half the recognition. Girls who deserve more than survival, who deserve the chance to fall asleep somewhere safe and wake up somewhere better." The applause is deafening. She steps back from the microphone and finds his mother's eyes in the crowd. The older woman's expression is unreadable. Then slowly, she stands, and she claps. It's not forgiveness, but it's a beginning. Afterward, they walk outside into the Lagos night. The city is loud and alive around them. Car horns and music and 1,000 lives being lived all at once. Her sister has fallen asleep on a lobby couch, a hotel attendant watching over her with gentle care. They stand on the terrace overlooking the lights. "I'm terrified," she admits quietly. "All those people. All those expectations. What if I'm not enough for this world you live in?" He turns to her, cups her face in his hands. "You've been enough every single day of your life. The world just wasn't paying attention. That's its failure, not yours. And your mother? She'll come around, or she won't. Either way, you're not negotiable." She laughs, surprised by how much she needed to hear that. "I still can't believe this all started because I fell asleep in your bed," she says. He pulls her close, kisses her temple. "Best accident of my life." She leans into him, feeling the weight of the evening finally lift. "Mine too." They stand there as the city pulses below them. 2 people who were never supposed to meet, building something that was never supposed to exist. And maybe that's the whole truth right there. Sometimes the thing that should ruin you saves you instead. Sometimes the mistake is the miracle. Sometimes you fall asleep in the wrong place and wake up exactly where you're supposed to be. Sometimes love doesn't arrive with trumpets and grand gestures. Sometimes it arrives exhausted, in a borrowed uniform, asking for nothing but a minute to rest. And if you're wise, if you're brave, if you're paying attention, you let it stay. Behind them, through the glass doors, his mother watches. She picks up her phone, puts it down, picks it up again. Finally, she types a message. "Tea tomorrow. Just us, if you're willing." She sends it to her son. Then, after a long moment, she sends one to the girl too. "We have much to discuss, but I was wrong about some things, perhaps many things. 3 p.m. if you'll come." She doesn't expect a response tonight, but morning comes with 2 words. "Will come." Not forgiveness, not yet, but a door opened instead of slammed. And sometimes that's how bridges get built, one uncomfortable tea at a time. If you're still here, you felt something. Don't scroll past it. Subscribe if you want more stories that hit different. And if you won't subscribe, tell us why. Straight answers only. We'll be here reading every word. Because stories like this, they're not just entertainment. They're reminders that dignity matters, that kindness counts, that the person who changes everything might be the one you almost overlooked, and that sometimes the best things in life start with a mistake you never saw coming.